thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I'm really honored. I'm honored to be part of this show. And I appreciate what both of you have said about my films. All my films have been independent films. And so, it's not always easy for people to see them. So any positive feedback I get, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
No, man, you deserve it. I will translate.
Thank you.
Creo que lo entendiste, ¿no? Que nos agradece que pues, los filmes de él siguen siendo independientes. Entonces, que cualquier feedback, cualquier, digamos, como que retroalimentación es bien válida. Yo dije que todo lo bueno que lo has dicho lo merece. Pero bueno, Jhon, te dejo.
De hecho, te pregunto, ¿cómo le pareció The Mongolian Connection? La crítica que te hicimos, claro.
Yes, what do you think about the review that we made from Mongolian Connection?
Well, honestly, of course, I was very happy with it, which is why I reached out to say thank you. But I found parts of it hard to understand. But it sounded like Jhon said that it was his favorite of Kaiwi Lyman's films. Which, considering he was in, a very big budget action film, Den of Thieves, is a huge compliment. The Mongolian Connection was made for just $400,000 US. And I assume that was roughly the catering budget of Den of Thieves.
I know, Jhon, it's true, because in fact, when you share us, and Jhon is very honest, and Jhon tell me, man, be honest, give a great review. In fact, this review is great, written by both of us, and I know what you say, because before I saw the Mongolian Connection, of course, I freaking love the No Tips, man. It was one of my, I saw it on a small theater in a small town, and I remember that ended like in the midnight, and of course it was a great plan. But what we loved, and in fact I will tell Jhon so he can say it, man, that here he got, of course he's the protagonist. We see more of his development, and no, man, in fact, if this interview wasn't made or I wasn't part of the channel, I'm talking about myself. I love everything that has to do with Asian cinema. Love it. Love it. And of course, I have seen few films of Mongolia, but the films that I had saw, I really love it. And this movie got all the elements. In fact, I will tell Jhon, aquí hay una pregunta que nos hace Andrew, yo ya la respondí desde mi parte, pero quiero que la respondas desde tu parte. Él dice que le gustó la reseña, pero quiero hacerte una pregunta honesta, que si es verdad lo que dijiste, yo entiendo que sí, de que es tu película favorita de Kaiwi, en el sentido de que él dice, wow, no es que no nos creas, sino quiere saber que lo argumentes, porque obviamente Kaiwi pues ya había hecho No Tips, y él dice que esto es lo que parece increíble. Creo que costó $42,000, no sé cómo, hacer esta película, que él dice que $42,000 es lo que costaría la comida en The No Tips, ¿no? El catering. Yo le dije desde mi punto de vista que sí, obviamente, antes de visto de Mongolian Connection, pues lo he visto en No Tips, tú sabes que me fascina No Tips, pero que pues de mi punto de vista, en esta película sí se ve un rol más, o sea, como él es el coprotagonista, vemos un Kaiwi más completo. Pero tú, ¿qué le quieres decir? Porque él no es que no te crea, pero quiere saber por qué es tu película favorita de Kaiwi.
Yo he visto las filmografías de Kaiwi y puedo decirte que Kaiwi es como una sombra en la mayoría de las películas. Cambio en esta de Brutoma es como ya saliendo del frasco del segundo lugar. Ya se pone en el primer lugar sin contar con estrellas grandes, sino la única estrella es él. No es que diga que todo el resto del elenco no sea grande, sino que demuestra de que la película, si se hace una serie, al rol de Kaiwi sería espléndido, porque obviamente ahí el centro de atención, para mí, no es la chica, no es las peleas, sino es Kaiwi, por el porte.
Y yo también le dije que, pues, ya lo más personal, ¿no? Me fascina el cine oriental, pues esta película tiene todos los elementos. Jhon said that he has, in fact, I envy him because he has watched more movies with Kiwi. He said that in the other movies, he was like in the shadows, and now we see it in the light. And to Jhon, this is Jhon's opinion, not myself, because I really love the work from the whole cast. But he said that their favorite role, even in this movie, their favorite character was the character that he was playing. So, man, everything is true. No, in fact, when a movie, when we don't like one movie, because sometimes the director said we are so honest, but we don't try to do like that horrible practice or I will with a crappy review or critique to destroy. No, we highlight the positives, we say about the negatives, but in fact, for me, I really love the movie. And I was reading something, in fact, Jhon, déjame hacer esta pregunta. I was reading something that it is true that there is like a director's cut from this movie. And before you answer, I will ask Jhon, ¿qué le quieres preguntar? Porque yo le pregunté si hay un director's cut. ¿Qué le quieres preguntar de Mongolian Connection?
Yo quiero que lo de Mongolian Connection, si alguna vez el personaje, bueno, de Kaiwe, no sé, tiene una serie o hay alguna oportunidad de que pueda expandir ese personaje, porque ese personaje se presta para, no sé, muchas ideas.
Okay, my question is there is like a director's cut, and the question from Jhon is there is a possibility of expand the character from Kai We Don't Know sequel or series. Tell us, man.
Okay, so there is not a director's cut yet, but we do plan on making one. The post-production process on the Mongolian Connection was very difficult. There were some creative disputes with the Mongolian producers. They had rushed me and my brilliant editor, Evan Millard. They had rushed us to turn out a cut. We told them that cut would not be ready in time and it would be too long, but they said it was fine. So against our better judgment, my judgment and the editor's judgment, we gave them an early edit that was not finished. And then they were unhappy with it. And instead of acknowledging what we had told them, which is that, look, this is not finished, they instead decided to do an edit on their own. I'll let you translate that part, and then Andres, and then I'll continue.
Jhon and myself, we decided that we will translate later because, man, we wanna tell, man. So
okay, all right, good. So, yeah, they decided to do their own edit. At that point, I was very frustrated, very creatively frustrated, because I had been, I wrote the script. I got, some helps with some polishes from more seasoned professional writers than I am, but I wrote the script with a writer named Caleb Monroe. So every draft of the script, I was, of course, extremely involved in, and then I think the production itself went extremely well, and then just to be rushed to do this edit and then have the edit taken away from me, I was very frustrated, and thought it felt like, and still do feel like, at that point I was just not allowed to do the job that I had been hired to do. And so I was on to other jobs. I was a cinematographer on a Netflix show at that point. And my editor, Evan, reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, you gotta come back. You gotta come help me. This edit is, in its current state, is unwatchable." So I said, "Okay, well, Evan," I said, I will come back, but on the condition that I will not be steering this train from the caboose. If I come back, you and I are going to do the edit that we want to do." And he said 100%. So I came back, and he and I just started repairing. I would edit with Evan all day, fixing the cut from what had been done to it. And then at night or in the early morning, I would watch other pieces of the cut and take notes. I had, I think, 7 or 8 pages of single line notes on how to get the film back to what it was supposed to be. And we had a pending release in Kazakhstan coming up. We got a full theatrical release in Kazakhstan. And there was a big glamorous premiere, which I was not able to attend because I was shooting that Netflix show. But Evan and I started repairing the film and doing it the way we intended, he and I, for this film to be seen. And we simply had to stop at a certain point because we ran out of time. We had to stop and take the film into the mix and then deliver it. So the cut that exists is a good representation of our film, but it is not everything it should be. You asked about character development. This was very important to me. Andres and Jhon, I knew that the story I was telling was a simple story, and we were trying to tell a simple story in a complicated and intriguing way. And, sometimes you tell a complex story, but you simplify emotional aspects of it so that the audience doesn't lose track or get frustrated. In this case, we wanted to build a sandbox, so to speak, or a playground for our characters to play in. But also, we wanted truth in our themes and in our characterizations. So, for example, Kaiwi, or Wade, admits to his girlfriend on the phone from Mongolia that he's taken with him his dog's anxiety medication. And he took it with him, and because he, at that point, was on the same medication, the same anxiety medication as his dog, and he knew he would need it in Mongolia. He tells her this embarrassing story because she's asking why the dog is scratching and biting on itself. And he tells her this embarrassing story, partially to ingratiate himself back to her by being so honest and open. But also, I wanted to create a moment where we reveal that Sarek, Sanjar Mahdi's character, the anti-hero, we wanted to reveal that Sarek understands English. And we wanted to do it in a way that was going to embarrass the American character. And hopefully the audience would find it amusing. Well, so one of the scenes that's not in the film is right before Kaiwi travels to Mongolia. He's packing, and he's standing in his kitchen watching his dog biting its own backside because it's got tons of anxiety. And he's holding the pill bottle in his hand, trying to decide whether to leave the pills for the dog to take. And we don't see what he decides, but we find out later. So the setup for that moment, which I think, not only would be a fun thing for the audience to witness, but also would deepen our understanding of Kaiwi a little bit in a fun way. It's also, one thing I like to do is set stuff up, plant seeds, and then let them bear fruit, or let them grow later. So for example, the 3-part gag with Kaiwi or Wade getting into the wrong side of the car all the time. I believe you set stuff up, you let the audience almost forget about it, and then you remind them. And I think it's a really fun way of storytelling. So there's little moments like that I think deepen the characterization that have been lost, that I hope to put back in the film. Having said all that, Andres, I'm still happy and proud of the edit in its current form, and I'm happy for people to see it. And hopefully, if they like it, they'll watch it again when I get to do my final true director's cut.
And about the question from Jhon, there is a possibility or like a series or like a sequel from the character of Kaiwi.
Yes. So Kaiwi and I, as well as the Mongolian producers, all have talked about doing a sequel. We even talked about the character of Gonzorig, the character played by Amra, the Mongolian star of the film. We wanted to put a scene after the end titles of the Mongolian Connection where Amra has come to the San Francisco Bay Area and is linked up with Wade. And Gonzo and Wade start an investigation again into a human trafficking ring in the Bay Area. And we would just hint at it, just start sort of Year of the Dragon style, and leave the audience hopefully wanting to see more of that story. So I hope so. There's no immediate plans, but I think, especially if the film goes into profit, I think there's real potential for a sequel.
Because I wanna mix the work that you made in Rhythm and Flow, in the documentary on NWA, and behind the music, and mix it with the work as a director in Somebody Spraying, in which turn you participate, man, in these projects. You saw the past, the present, and also the future of what is hit hot and what is doing music videos. By the way, I'm a big fan. For me, I remember in one expo in the university, I defend the music video as an art, and I gave a great note. And sometimes in Colombia, sometimes the third world doesn't admire that, but I do it. And I want to know, yes, how do you see the future of hip hop or music videos, and how everything that you learn or told with this master, you approach it in this music video? But by the way, I really like it. I really love the history or the code in this and the video for Somebody's Praying. So, man, try to link all these projects in talking about music videos and music industry and hip hop.
Andres and Jhon, when I was in undergraduate film school, one of the professors said to me that he believed music was 75% of the power of storytelling. I think this is a bit hyperbolic, but not much. I think that music is incredibly important, and I would have been right there with you defending music video as an art form. In my unscripted work, music, I've just done so much music. Of course, my first feature film as a director is the Coachella movie, 2006. And I started working on that when I was in my 20s. Even this morning, I'm listening to song after song in preparation for the project that I'm directing here in Thailand. In the opening of the Mongolian Connection, an old man walks into the restaurant, and he's got a portable radio with him. And that radio is playing a song. And then the closer he gets the radio to the wireless microphone on the informant's chest, the more distortion the radio experiences, until the radio actually picks up the signal from the wireless mic and broadcasts the voice of our villain, Tenzin, throughout the restaurant. And that leads, of course, to the gunfight. Now, for that song, I initially listened to pieces of, I started visiting lists on the internet of top 100, top 200 songs of the 1960s, top 300 songs of the 1960s and 70s. I was going decade by decade of best songs. I calculated that I listened to pieces of nearly 600 songs before picking the song that was going to be in that scene, which was a song called The Sun Won't Shine Anymore. In the end, we decided to change it to a Russian song. There really, during that era that the song was supposed to come from, there really was very little Mongolian pop music to speak of. So but they did listen to Russian music. So after another search of hundreds of songs, without exaggeration, hundreds of songs, I found the song that is now in the opening. Then I ordered an LP, a vinyl record of that song from Russia, waited for it to arrive, took it to an audio technician I know who digitized it immediately before we played it on any record player ever, immediately digitized it in the very best quality possible from his record player. And then we re-digitized it after playing it a few times to introduce a little, we had actually two copies of the same vinyl record, one older, one newer, and to introduce some scratches back into the recording. I tell this long story only to say that that music, probably for you and for so many filmmakers, music is absolutely crucial to what I do. It always will be, I hope.
Two things. When I saw that scene, and that in fact remind me some kind with the radio distortion, I was thinking in that moment from Silent Hill, the video game, the radio. Man, when I saw, yes, when I saw that scene, man, it bowed me. That scene bowed me. Was like, man, I thought it was a genius for all the edition, not only sound edition, but the edition of the scene. And I say, this movie bowed me. Let's see what happened, man. I really like it because yes, it got the moments from the calm moments, the funny moments, but I really loved how was the sequence. All the sequences were really well done, and you gave me like a link to my second question, because yes, man, we are going to talk about from Coachella, but you also directed. I'm a metalhead, and you also not directed. Sorry, you did like a camera work in one of the best concerts that Megadeth has made. This is Rust in Peace. So, man, yes. How, in fact, one friend of mine, he was going to leave because I told him about the documentary of Coachella. It was great. Man, now we see in forums that the movies or the documentaries that you made about concerts, they are now considered like a great piece of cinema. In fact, I remember last year, this concert from Utopia from David Byrne was considered one of the best movies from the year. So yeah, man, tell us more about that experience, because Coachella and Mega are institutions. I know that you, in one you directed and the other you were as a in the camera, but man, as a music lover, tell me more about this, because
I've been, Andres and Jhon, I've been so blessed to work with some of my favorite musical artists. Oftentimes as cinematographer, sometimes as director, and sometimes just as a camera person. One of the only reasons I'm sad to be here in Thailand doing this new TV series called Ocean Eyes, one of the only reasons I'm sad is because I'm going to miss Coachella this year, as well as Stagecoach, which is the country Coachella. Shooting with Megadeth, I was the DP or the cinematographer of a Behind the Music about Megadeth, and I've also filmed them live before. Dave Mustain, lead singer of and creator of Megadeth, he's a real character, incredibly intelligent, incredibly passionate, can be a little scary. But if he wasn't a little scary, he wouldn't be Dave Mustain. So I actually visited, when we were making the Behind the Music, I actually visited him at his then house in Arizona with his family. And again, man, what an interesting guy. I've also gotten to work with Metallica a few times. And that was a lot of fun. But so many artists, too many to count. Sometimes somebody will ask me, oh, what's the best show you've shot at Coachella? This is a nearly impossible question to answer, because I've been blessed to shoot with artists like the Pixies, like Public Enemy, like Saul Williams, so many artists, The Replacements, Daft Punk, that it's just, sometimes I have to pinch myself and remind myself that I'm getting paid to do these things. It's absolutely incredible. And Andres and John, sometimes I think that if I lose my passion for music, I will have to stop being a filmmaker, because I don't know how to do it, how to be a creator without music. And there were scenes in the Mongolian Connection that weren't written when we shot them, because due to plot twists that we had written into it, things happened, or we had to combine scenes, or we had to change scenes. And so I would sometimes write a scene walking around and just come up with it in my head, and then work with the actors for what they would say to each other. And of course, there's pressure associated to doing this. But what I would do is I would put on my headphones, I would play all the songs in my phone on shuffle, and I would walk. I remember walking up and down these Soviet train tracks in the Mongolian steppe, just listening to music and ruminating on the scene. And I suspect, like I say, I suspect this is true of all filmmakers, but without music and without a passion for music, I don't know. I don't know how I would be able to do it.
To one of the first interviews that we made with the amazing Katrina Gray, she is now nailing it in Netflix. She appears in the movie of Blue Assassins, and of course, man, I'm so happy because as a music lover, you are the second person here that has worked with Metallica. We got the amazing Andrew Armstrong. He directed the video for I Disappear. But man, I can imagine. I cannot hold the camera listening to I can imagine, and I was going to say something funny. Wow! What a great tour! Oh, Thailand. Katrina, are you there? Say hi. No, I will let you with John, but man, I was going to say something funny. And not only there is a character, his hair is another character, but no, man, he's a legend. He's a freaking legend, and I cannot wait to tell my friends that you were part of that concert, man. Here, the metal community in Colombia is huge.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And they even got the awards, Metallica versus Megadeth. But no, man, I will let you with John. Rómpete una pierna.
Wow, de hecho, yo le quiero preguntar a Andrew sobre Channeling. Channeling para mí es una película muy, muy, o sea, muy significativa en cuestión del término la validación. Yo sé que los personajes representan como algo lo que la sociedad quiere, a pesar de que uno como ser humano trata de reivindicarse, pero ¿cómo describe para él el concepto de la validación en nosotros los seres humanos a través de tu film?
We're going to talk about channeling, and John wants to know, how do you describe the term of validation talking about this movie that we know that is one of the main subjects of this particular film?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you guys are asking me about theme, because theme to me is a starting point in storytelling. And channeling was all about this idea of what is it that we need so badly that we would risk our lives, we would make poor decisions. What is it? Why is it that we need validation so badly that we would do these things we otherwise never would? What is missing from us that we need to do this? And this was really the driving force. I mean, I think theme can and should be at the heart of every story decision that you make. Sometimes you don't find what your themes are until the script is written. Sometimes you don't find what the themes are until the film is in the edit bay, but it will always be easier finding your story, finding your characters, if you begin with a question and you begin with seeking the truth. For me, I came up with channeling, the concept, at the end of 2021. I was shooting a documentary called I Want So Much to Live, for a director named Elizabeth Holder. And it's about breast cancer. And we had an afternoon off. We were spending lots of time up in the Bay Area to shoot this film. And we had an afternoon off, and I went for a walk and was thinking, I saw somebody walking, I saw a businessman walking out of, if you know this word, illicit business. And I found myself thinking, what if he were broadcasting from his point of view, whatever it was he was doing in there, and his wife or family member saw his broadcast, like he forgot to stop broadcasting. And then I thought to myself, what the hell are you thinking about? What do you mean broadcasting? And then that immediately led me down the road of, okay, what if people could, anytime they want, directly from their point of view, broadcast whatever it is they're doing, and do it illicitly or secretly. So, so I could witness something and broadcast it live to whoever's watching it, without the person who I'm looking at or the situation that I'm in, without the people in that situation knowing that I'm filming them and recording them live. And so it all went from there. And the biggest compliment that I've gotten on channeling, and I've gotten this a few times from people, is that people found themselves thinking about the ideas and the themes later on. So I dug into a lot of themes, a lot of ideas, and really tried to start from a place of truth. Like in the Mongolian Connection, a lot of what happens in channeling, I mean, of course, everything's exaggerated, but a lot of the things that happen in channeling are based on my experiences and the experience of family members or people I was very close to at the time that I wrote it. I don't know that I reached any answers exactly, but I really wanted to pose the question as a conversation with the audience, to say, let's look at this. Why is it that all of us, me included, maybe particularly in the United States, I don't know, but why do we have this need? And what's that about? I would also like to say that still, this just happened a couple days ago, somebody would watch channeling and they would say, oh, it reminds me of Black Mirror. Can I say for the record that channeling was written and created years before Black Mirror? And I'm not suggesting that Black Mirror has borrowed any ideas from channeling. I'm just saying that I definitely didn't borrow any ideas from Black Mirror, because Black Mirror didn't exist.
No, por supuesto. Es que vea que yo he tenido la oportunidad de ver desde Mongolian Connection, channeling, aunque, bueno, ahí me toca, Andrés, complementarle con la suya, y es Walmart Soundcheck. Obviamente, yo sé que el de Walmart Soundcheck trata sobre muchas ideas, pero yo lo único que quiero preguntarle es, ¿cuál es la enseñanza que te dejó al realizar este proyecto? Porque créame que realizar esta producción muy dura.
I will miss the question from Jhon with another from myself, because yes, you also did an episode from Walmart Sunshine, and man, it's crazy because I haven't seen it. I had to watch it, but I really like that, and I hope that you gave like a space from Creed because you know that sometimes the backlash that this band got, but I one of the fans of the band. In fact, I really like the album Weathered. So yes, tell me more about this, the experience doing this episode of Walmart Soundcheck. And I was reading, man, I'm surprised you also appear. And I mean, war. Oh, wow, bad in the days. I now feel old. You were in a special with out of for Heroes of Latin America, Carlos Santana. Wow, but tell me more about Walmart Sunset, man. I need to watch it because I'm a fan of Creed, man. I don't like that people told wrong about Scott Star. I think he's a great vocalist.
You know, it's funny you asked about Walmart Soundcheck. A very good friend of mine named Mark Ritchie directed, actually, and another director I'm friends with, Rick Reinholdson, both directed a bunch of episodes of those. And what happened with the Creed episode is I had shot a bunch of those for my friend Mark, and Mark couldn't be there that day and said, "Hey, Drew, can you just direct this one for me?" And I said, "Sure." And I'll admit, I wasn't. I liked some of their songs, but I wasn't a huge fan of Creed at the time. But it's one of those bands, and this has happened to me a few times, where all of a sudden I'm in front of them and they're playing live, and I learned to have a lot of respect for them. Also, they were just nice guys. We sat them down on stools and they talked to us for a little while, and they were joking around and they were friendly and they were generous with their time. So I've got nothing but good things to say about Creed. I've done a lot of music pieces like that as a director, sometimes as a director DP, but I'm often, Andres and John, I'm often not able to take credit for it or list it in IMDb because I'm a DGA director. I'm in the Directors Guild of America. And I'll be asked to direct something and I'll have to say, okay, well, are you guys a DGA project? And if they say no, I'll say, okay, well, then you have to credit me as producer, or you have to credit me as just cinematographer or whatever, because I'm really not able to direct something that's not a DGA signatory production. But I have served basically in that role on things over the years. Music specials and little music pieces like that, where it doesn't make sense for the production to pay DGA fringe expenses, but they still need somebody competent to direct. So I've done that. So you asked what Walmart soundtrack, and you asked what was the other thing, Andres?
Yes, no, with the special from Carlos Santana, one of the
my God,
Latin heroes, man.
Yeah. So Carlos Santana is a gentleman and an artist, and I had loved his playing. I mean, you know, the original Woodstock film, which he's in from 1969, was a huge influence on the Coachella movie. I love Carlos Santana. Working with him was an absolute joy. I actually was on stage next to him with a camera in my hands, filming him, and he went to point. He was talking to somebody, and he went to point at something, and his hand hit the matte box on the front of the camera. I mean, gently. He barely tapped it, and he turned to me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I said, "Oh my God, Mr. Santana, I'm so sorry." And he sort of laughed and was, "Oh, it's no problem." But I thought to myself, "Oh my God, this man with these incredibly valuable hands." You know, and I stood I was probably, I don't know, a couple, 2-3 feet away from him. But maybe I was too close because this man with these priceless hands, you know, almost could have hurt his fingers on my camera. But of course, you know, no harm done. But yeah, he was a joy to work with. He sent me and a producer out to get footage of migrant farm workers. We did that on our own time and went and filmed. And then that was projected behind him. I filmed what they call bumpers, the little pieces right before and right after commercials. I shot those all on Super 16 film, and as well as documentary elements. And then the show itself was shot on some sort of video format. I forget, maybe digital beta. And at the time, the other cameramen were so jealous because they're shooting on video cameras and I'm running around with film cameras. And everybody knows that, especially video, not including digital, but video of that era just doesn't have the mystique that film does. So, but both those were great film experiences. Particularly the Carlos Santana was a real blessing to work on.
John is asking about something I asked you before, but I like his question. So if you wanna say something, plus, because yes, he saw rhythm plus flow, and we feel now we are not going to talk about like that thing I asked you about music videos, but about just the concept that you developed in the photography, because he feel that it got flow, it was so clean. So yes, I will ask you about that, because how do you manage to do it, man? I know it's a great word that is showing now in Netflix, and we think that it's now the present, but also can be the future about how to shoot music documentary, the values from rappers that now it's crazy. In America now there is this huge the things that they're doing, recording battle rappers. That Rat came before starting in New York, but later came to Latin America, and now it's like a new culture. But man, we feel that this is like the present and the future. So tell us.
Okay, well, so it's interesting what happened with Rhythm and Flow. I was contacted and asked to do it while I was in post-production on the Mongolian Connection, and that for a few months there was a very frustrating situation for me. And to get called and asked to do a project that I immediately was passionate about was just exactly what I needed at that moment. They contacted me initially. It was somebody whom I had, the producer was a woman who I'd worked with before, and as cinematographer. And she contacted me and said, well, they've got a cinematographer that the show's director had worked with, but they wanted to know if I would come on as a camera operator. And I said, well, okay, yeah, that's okay. And then almost immediately I was, because I knew the cinematographer, Frederick Menot, I was immediately Frederick sort of bumped me up to unofficial second unit. And then when Frederick's contract was up, he left to go on to another project, and they moved me up to cinematographer. So I shot the second half of the season, and Frederick shot the first half. It's another situation where we shot on stage. We had a stage lighting director, and we had broadcast cameras for the stage work. But for me, and that was all beautiful and great, but for me, the interesting stuff was all the documentary footage we did in Atlanta and New York City and Chicago and Los Angeles. That was very gritty. We were often in neighborhoods where it was suggested that after dark we get out of there very quickly, and we were shooting with people who were on parole in some cases, it was just very real. And we shot on the Sony F55, I think it was, but we shot with Zeiss Super Speed Vintage Prime lenses. And we would have two cameras going all the time, and I would light very subtly. And then we would shoot with these very fast, very good vintage lenses that come with character in their DNA. And we would just let things happen in front of us. And so it was true rock and hip hop documentary style. And then when we had more control over the lighting, when we were building environments, whether it was a backstage area or whatever, we would use vibrant color, and we would set up an environment where the lights were out of the way, and our characters, who are real people, could do what they wanted to do, go where they wanted to do, and we would follow them. And even though I'm very tall, I'm 198 centimeters tall, 6'6", I would be able to tuck back into a corner with my camera, and the other camera operator would too. And we would just film and let happen what happens, because the Chance the Rapper and the other TI and the other executive producers of our show wanted this show to really be real and to lean into reality as much as we could. So I had a lot of fun making Rhythm and Flow. I still hope it will come back for more seasons. Maybe after COVID is truly behind us, that will happen. But it was just an amazing experience to work on it. And you know, even though things got better again with the Mongolian Connection later, it was exactly what I needed. It was like a gift from the heavens to be able to be one of two cinematographers on that show at that time.
Congratulations, man.
No,
Drew. Amazing. John, ¿tienes algo? Saludo.
Sí, de hecho, un saludo para Colombia, Latinoamérica, tus redes sociales, ¿qué se viene del próximo proyecto?
De hecho, sí, mencionó algo y sería bueno. Okay, Andrew, as a final, yes, a big hi to Colombia, to the channel, gave your social media so people can follow you. And yes, I know you mentioned it, but if you wanna give a little more info about your next project, go ahead, man.
Oh, okay. First of all, muchas gracias para todos mis amigos in Colombia. Lo siento para mi muy mal español language skills. I'm trying always to learn more Spanish. And yeah, I was in the taxi on my way to the airport to fly to Mongolia, and had a Colombian taxi driver, young guy, so cool. And he and I were talking, and he said, "You have to visit Colombia." He said, "It's so cool. The food, you know, the people are so cool. You'll have the best time." So it's my dream to visit your beautiful country, and I think this is true of a lot of Americans. We all want to find an excuse to come there. So I also want to thank the Colombian audience for watching my films and for supporting independent cinema, because it's a tough time for independent cinema worldwide, and so I'm very grateful to people who take the time to seek out and find films and passion projects that aren't just handed to you like Marvel Cinema and some of these other big budget productions. The project I'm working on now is called Ocean Eyes. It is about a character created by a huge pop artist and actor here named Mew Supposite. Mew is spelled M-E-W, Mew Supposite. And it's sort of a mix of drama, comedy, and sci-fi about young veterinarians working with sea life and sea mammals, and trying to preserve the ocean environment. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, please follow me on IMDb. I'm Drew Thomas 1 on IMDb, and my Instagram is @YayForStuff. That's YayForStuff. I'm not on Twitter, but I am on Instagram regularly, and I'd love to hear from any of you. If you see my movie, any of my movies, and you like them, please send me a message and say hello, and I'd love to speak with any of you directly.
De hecho, Andrés, yo quisiera preguntarle a Drew, ¿qué avances hay? No sé si hay spoiler o no, de Going First.
Oh, before we end, there is like a spoiler. No, okay, no spoiler, but like a preview or something you want to say about Going First?
Oh gosh, no. Going First is another just another short. We'll see if it ever leads to more projects. It was fun, but that was again just 2 nights of shooting for fun. if I may ask a small favor, would you guys consider posting a review on IMDb of the Mongolian Connection or channeling or both? It would mean a lot to me to have more positive reviews on those pages.
Comentarle.
Dime, John, que él nos pidió un favor, pero dime.
Lo que él pidió es escribirle sobre las reseñas de las dos películas.
Sí, que de hecho, por cierto, debo ver channeling, porque, bueno, tú sabes que la de Mongolian Connection entre los dos.
Wow.
Creo ahí tú tienes cuenta, entonces súbela. Yes, but in fact, I will ask the favor to John because I haven't watched the channeling. I want to watch it. I watched the Mongolian Connection. And we'll write it both hands. I know that, in fact, en Spanish and English, John, sería bueno en español y en inglés. Cuando que, when I will, it's crazy because John and myself, we live in the same city and we saw like 3 times. In fact, tomorrow I will see it. So it will be great to meet, drink some coffee and write it. John, sería bueno reunirnos, escribirlas. Sure, man. For us, it's an honor. The things that we say about the Mongolian Connection, I know the things that John said about channeling are true. We'll write it. And in fact, I got an account in Rate Your Music. Now we can rate movies, but the Mongolian Connection doesn't got like their page. I will try to create it or something because it's another way when people review movies. So yes, man, don't worry, we will review it.
Muchas gracias para ustedes. Thank you so much.
No, gracias a ti. Thank you, man.
Thank you. It's honor.
It's an honor, man. And bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye, ciao.
Wow.
See you.
Ciao.